Do you know why I brought this song today over here? I'm not going to be singing or dancing, don't worry. I brought this song because I did not discover it by myself, or was it introduced to me by one of my friends or someone that I consciously talked to about music. The song was the result of an algorithm called Spotify that learned my taste and thought that I was going to love it. And I actually did. And this is something quite common nowadays in our lives. This is also Netflix. They will suggest movies based on your last watch. And this is also Waze and Facebook. And all of these services that you're more than aware of. What are they doing to us? They are spoiling us, customers, who now demand this from each and every new product and service that comes around. And there's more to it, because we pay almost nothing, if any. We want low-cost products with high quality that understand us. Technology and new types of communications are making companies able to do this, and which was not possible a few years ago. And so, it is clear we're entering a new era. A new era defined by an enhanced customer power. This will lead innovation, our market trends, throughout all industries. And those industries that are used to passive consumers are the ones that are going to be most challenged. But we'll get back to this later. For now, I want to ask you, how did companies face new eras before? How do we avoid becoming the Kodak of the digital world? But first, and maybe more importantly, how do we as humans prepare for new eras before? I invite you to come with me on a trip 30 to 40,000 years ago, where there was a major shift in the environment. This was known for being one of the coldest ice ages for 250,000 years. By then, we were not the only ones on Earth. And when I say we, I refer to ourselves as Homo sapiens. By then, another human species lived on Earth. They were called Neanderthals. They lived throughout Europe and Asia and had been there for more than 400,000 years. Suddenly, they disappeared. We don't know exactly why or exactly how, but we do know that we survived and they didn't, even when they were more naturally fit for harsh conditions. Neanderthals had an insulating skin and thick hair that protected them from cold weather. Even their body proportions were made for that, as they were shorter and larger. But due to their shorter limbs, they concentrated heat better. We were these not so naturally prepared creatures, used to live in the much more pleasant temperatures of the African savanna, like this guy over here. Yet, we survived. What do you think that we did different? What do you think that we did? Well, we prepared. We did basically 3 things. We used protective clothes, we developed flexible diets, and we used the right tools to hunt. We fabricated protective clothes because we lacked that hairy skin. And so we made snowshoes and coats out of the skin and fur of the animals we hunted. Neanderthals were stronger and muscler, but precisely because of that, their energy requirements were also higher. And so they needed enormous amounts of food in order to survive. Mammoths were just not that available anymore. We developed flexible diets. And so we ate the same proteins they did, but we also ate fruits and vegetables and whatever we found in our way. Neanderthals had great hunting techniques. They used amazing spears for close encounters in the forests, where they could hide behind the trees and attack by surprise. When conditions changed and forests were not that available anymore, those tools and those techniques became obsolete, and they were not able to adapt. We, on the other hand, we developed projectile technology, and so we did not need the trees to hide. Besides that, we teamed up and we used our communication abilities to elaborate more complex hunting strategies. That's how we survived. And that's why we did not end up working with people that look like this. Yeah, it's funny. Everybody actually knows someone that looks like this. But that's not the point now. What I really wanted to say is that these strategies also work for the corporate world. Because at the end of the day, companies are led by humans, aren't they? So let's fast forward a couple of thousand years again to the very beginning of corporations as we know them. I'm talking about the 1900s. That time is known for the great empires, steel, oil, and railroad trust companies. They dominated the market, and it worked for a while, until society started to demand a change. Better wages, job conditions, lots of regulations. You could say that these companies were in the brink of an extinction, as their way of doing business was being threatened. But what do you think that happened? The companies that thrived were the ones that used the exact same strategies that our ancestors did. Protective clothes, flexible diets, and the right tools to hunt. This time, the protective clothes were in the form of a new mindset, new talent that came from outside of the companies, as the first business schools were being created in America. And companies shifted from an owner's management to a professional management. They also developed flexible diets, as they diversified from outside of their core business and opened new divisions within the company, just like DuPont. And what about the right tools to hunt? Well, they figured out they needed innovation. And so, this is when research and development started to migrate from an academic environment to the corporate world. 6 Nobel Prize winners came out of the AT&T lab. This is a photo of that lab. These strategies worked very well for most of the traditional companies throughout the 20th century. However, with the challenge of today, and when we can see ahead in the future, this is not going to be enough. We're going to have to reassess them. The new consumer sees the world in a completely different way. The way we use and purchase entertainment today is different from what it was 10 years ago. Similarly, the way we use and purchase energy is going to be different from what it was not 10 or 20, but 100 years ago. We are demanding a cleaner future with innovative solutions. Rapid growth of solar panel installations, electric vehicles, and energy storage are just a few examples. Energy, a highly regulated market restricted to just a few, is becoming an interesting topic at dinner tables. People are getting curious to understand the market and what types of services are available to them. Distributed energy resources is enabling us to take on a more active role. You can now decide if you want to invest in your own generation and mess with years of traditional grid operation. You can even decide how to manage your energy consumption, and if you want to invest in smart appliances or energy efficiency programs. New spaces are being opened throughout the value chain, and new products are also coming in. There's Nest, for example, from Google. It works kind of like Spotify, as it learns your schedule and the temperatures you like in each room, and after a while, regulates by itself, while at the same time being energy efficient and saving on your bills. It is a thermostat. If we learned something about Neanderthals, is that having a lot of experience and knowing more about the market than these newcomers is not going to be enough. We have to be prepared. So, what can we do? Actually, we're in a great position. Because if you think critically, every new product and service that comes around ultimately relies on power. Electricity is the cornerstone of modern economies. Power goes off in our houses, and we start going crazy. We start praying our battery lasts enough, isn't it? So, if we think as Homo sapiens, this is the perfect terrain to develop our flexible diets. If we're able to deliver not just the traditional energy services, but to bundle them up with other not strictly energy values, we are going to be successful. And what do I mean by that? Remember my Spotify example from the beginning? Spotify is a music provider. Yet, what I like the most about it, it's not exactly the music it provides to me. It's the rest of the things that surround it. It's how I have the possibility of still listening to music while I'm offline. It's how I can share it with my friends. It's how it knows what's the song I want to hear every time. And yet, being flexible is not enough. We also need our protective clothes. And this is a less clear path. Yes, nobody knows what the future is going to look like. But we do have some hints and some questions we can ask ourselves. Do we have the right mindset to adapt? Over here. Are we agile enough? I would say, are we Homo sapiens enough? And what about the right tools to hunt? Are we investing in innovation enough? Is it time to team up and look at our broader ecosystem in order to deliver better solutions? There might not be a right answer to all of these questions, but I do know one thing. We have done this not once or twice, but several times throughout history, since we coexisted with the Neanderthals. And we're going to do it again. The important thing is to know that the winner, it's not the one that knows more or has more experience. The winner is the one that's prepared and able to adapt faster. In a consumer-led environment, where people might not necessarily know what they want, but they certainly have the power, we have to be ready to create the solution, the song, or in our case, the energy product and service that they and you and I are going to love. Thank you.